included in the major discussion that's on everybody's mind is who will walk away with the coveted MVP. SA, who is your pick?
It's Joel Embiid. Giannis and Jokic is obviously a three-horse race. It's going to be very, very close. But I think that Joel Embiid has been absolutely spectacular this year. He's been the league's leading scorer. He's been dominant inside and out. He plays on both ends of the floor. And when I look at Giannis and Milwaukee, Giannis is fantastic, but I think Milwaukee has a fantastic team. I think that, when you look at Philadelphia, even though James Harden averaged over 10 assists, led the league in assists, by the way, even though we've seen that from him, the reality is where would the Sixers be without Joel Embiid? I just think that this is his year, and the way that he has played, it's not a sympathy vote for me because I voted for him last year. I just think he's been spectacular this year, and he deserves it. He's my MVP.
All right. We head to Dallas as the Mavericks had a bizarre end to a roller coaster season. So last Wednesday, they outlasted the Kings, sustained contention, sneaking into the play-in, but then reversed course on Friday, benched every starter, only played their star Luka Doncic in the first quarter, with the play-in still in contention. As a result, league spokesman Mike Bass announced the NBA has launched an official investigation into the Mavs, quote, roster decisions and game conduct against the Bulls. On Saturday, Dallas would go on to rest the starters again yesterday in a loss against the Spurs, and by losing the last two games, the Mavs finished with the 10th best lottery odds. An important note, as Dallas owing the New York Knicks a top 10 protected pick. Paging Kendrick Perkins. Perk, was it the right call for the Mavs to sit the players on Friday?
You know what? No, it wasn't. I mean, what you traded for Kyrie Irving for, right? You gave up all those pieces, key pieces, I believe it was, in my opinion, some picks and everything to do what? Not give yourself the best chance. The one thing that the Mavs had control of was what was in front of them. They couldn't worry about what OKC was going to do or things to that nature. So when I look at the Mavs and I look at what they did for us, and I understand, the pick and the lottery pick and protecting that and all that, but it looked bad, horrible on their organization. And when I say that, it's because you don't have Luka and Kyrie you added Kyrie with Luka to actually enhance your squad to take them to another level. This is a team that represented the Western Conference Finals last year. And so you mean to tell me you have one game in front of you, you don't know what's going to happen with the Oklahoma City Thunder. Somebody could have knocked them off at the time. You still got to give yourself every chance to make the postseason or to get into the play-in tournament.
I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I think it was a good look. That would be foolish. But I do think people are overreacting. The Dallas Mavericks are a mess. And we don't say that with any kind of dismissiveness. We're not trying to, we like Mark Cuban. I know I got a lot of love for Nico Harrison as well.
Yeah, for sure.
But they're an absolute mess. As Woj pointed out yesterday and reminded the world, the Dallas Mavericks could have re-signed Jalen Brunson at $56 million. You dropped the ball. You didn't believe, okay? Because you lost out on Jalen Brunson, you felt the need to make a deal to acquire Kyrie Irving when you were 3 games above 500 and a top 5 seed in the Western Conference. And ever since then, with Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic on the floor together, their record is like 5-11. And they're one of the 5th worst teams in basketball. They have not been impressive at all. And so now you find yourself in a situation where you got to ask, okay, what is it that we're really going to do? Because we can't stop a cold. We can't defend anybody. Even though our offensive rating is elite, our defensive rating is porous. There's nothing that we can do. No, we're not going to probably in all likelihood be a part of the Victor Wembanyama sweepstakes, but at least we can make sure that the New York Knicks, who already got Jalen Brunson from us, doesn't end up getting our pick, which is top 10 protected. So they're thinking along those lines, and everybody was making so much noise about them forfeiting games where it prompts an NBA investigation. I have no doubt the Knicks probably called and complained. But my point is you had a whole bunch of teams, that weren't trying to win. I can name them, but I don't feel like it this morning. Detroit, Indiana, just to name a few. But anyway, that's beside the point. At the end of the day, the ultimate indictment against the Dallas Mavericks, Kendrick Perkins, is that they didn't believe they had a chance. even with Kyrie Irving on the squad and even with Luka Doncic, they didn't believe they were going to make any noise in these playoffs. They thought they were going to go home early, so they said, why waste our time? Now, let's get to Kyrie Irving. You know, I've been pretty nice. I've been pretty nice recently, you know. I made sure to remind everybody, it ain't Kyrie's fault. Kyrie showed up to Dallas and did what he was supposed to do. You know what you're going to get from him offensively. You know what you're going to get from him defensively. And that's exactly what happened. I ain't pointing the finger at him. But Kendrick Perkins, he's in the news again because he's the only player on the Dallas Mavericks to skip the exit interviews with the organization, with the media. He's the only person. Now, he's been talking to the media, been giving very insightful answers and stuff like that, all of that stuff. But they made it a point, and they've written about this because they believe that's an indication that Kyrie Irving doesn't want to be there because why would you avoid that exit interview? So because of that, we find ourselves talking about him again. In the end, what it comes down to is the Dallas Mavericks did not believe they were going to do a damn thing this postseason. That's why they made the decision that they made. So we can lament the decision. I'm just focused on the reason why. The reason why is we think they're not that good, and evidently they feel that way about themselves as well.
Yeah, but Stephen A., you are a competitor. You are a hard worker. You know, like I know, at the end of the day, you're there to compete.
I agree.
And we know that they traded for Kyrie Irving to compete. They wasn't out of it. At least give yourself a chance. Now, if it don't happen, it don't happen. But you have a game in front of you that's another must win. You're not out of it. You could actually show up and win. You don't know what's going to happen. But again, let me go to your point about Kyrie Irving missing the exit meeting. So what?
Okay.
So what? Who cares? You know why? Let me tell you why. And you know I'm pretty hard on Kyrie Irving, but this is why I don't have a problem with him missing the exit meeting. Because this is a negotiation type thing, right? I would leave the Dallas Mavericks wondering too. What is he thinking? What is he on? Does he have plans on staying? Because the way that the season ends, and you just talked about it, you can't point the finger at Kyrie Irving because he showed up and showed out in great fashion since he arrived in Dallas. So if I'm Kyrie Irving, guess what? I'm going to leave him thinking as well. And this is the one time that I actually could say, I don't give a damn if he mixed the exit meet. I think it's a hell of a move by him.
I disagree with you there. And again, I'm not trying to be critical about it. When I want to be critical of Kyrie Irving, you will know. I ain't hiding it from anybody. This ain't one of those situations.
We know.
This is just calling it like we see it. Kendrick Perkins, I get where you're coming from. But with the Lakers, in all likelihood, about to re-up D'Angelo Russell, you do have to wonder how many options does a Kyrie have? Then you got to wonder how many years is he going to get? 1 year deal, 2 year deal, because nobody's really interested in giving him a guaranteed 4 year deal. So you got that going on. You got also going on your former Nike representative is now your brother running the Dallas Mavericks. So when you make that kind of decision, what you would normally do in business negotiations, you don't necessarily have to apply to somebody that you're supposed to be tight with. Not to mention the fact when you fresh off of underachieving, because this is a team sport, and at the end of the day, it's about results, right, Kendrick? It ain't just about you going in your bag, showing how nasty your handle is, how spectacular you could be, or, with the basketball and all that stuff. It's about wins. And with you and one of the greatest players in the game today, a guy on Luka Doncic that finished second in the league in scoring at over 32 points per game. With you and Luka, y'all lost more than you won when they were winning more than they lost before you arrived. So we can't ignore that. We can't ignore that and say, well, you know what? When you follow all of that up with avoiding an exit interview, it don't matter. Well, to a lot of people in the NBA community, maybe not me, maybe not you, but you know the NBA well. A matter of fact, you're pretty tight with, at the very least, a couple of executives. At the very least, you're very, very tight. You know this backwards and forwards. Stuff like that matters. And it does influence the decisions that get made. When people look at you, they know you got the game. What they're wondering about is everything else that comes with it. And nobody wonders about everything else that comes with it about anybody else more than they wonder about it when it comes to Kyrie Irving. That's just a fact. You know that.
And guess what? I do, but guess what, Stephen A? He's so talented that people are going to put up with it, regardless. And we witnessed it time and time again. We just, like I said, we just witnessed them trade for Kyrie Irving. They knew the baggage that came with him. They knew how his mindset and how he operates outside.
Yeah, but they also thought they were going to win.
Lines.
But they also thought they were going to win.
I understand that. I understand that, SA. But what I'm saying is, if you trade for Kyrie Irving and watching him over the last 3 or 4 years, you know what's coming with him, right? He has shown the world. You know what you have to deal with if you're going to trade for him. You know you might have to deal with a situation that's coming like this. But at the end of the day, my whole thing is he's so elite, he's so skilled, and he's so box office that somebody's going to take a chance on him. And my thing is, this is the only reason that I'm standing up for Kyrie Irving right now in this particular moment. Is because since he's arrived in Dallas, he's done his part.